Hello, everyone, and welcome to Moonride. This is Dave Johnson, channeling the man in the moon. If you're wondering, yes, it does get cold sometimes in Australia. It's kind of a desert cold. On to the subjects today. There's going to actually be three. I'm really intrigued by the fact that I'm seeing uh, Donald Trump's kind of airplane escape, which I've been seeing for a while. It looks like this might just have something to do with Saudis. I always see Saudis with him and some kind of escape. So I don't know if I don't know quite what's going on there, but I'm going to check it out. I'm also going to look at this Rusty Bowers. If you have seen something in the news about him, take a look, because Rusty Bowers is not at all of a good person, but he's starting to testify about the January 6th conspiracy. And the last thing is DeSantis. This is just some Schadenfreude. I can see DeSantis kind of falling apart, and hate to be cruel, but he's one of my least favorite people. Let's take a look at these drinks. I think they're really important right now, sort of cutting edge of what's really going on in our government. Okay, so the first one is Trump and this plane. It just keeps saying planes and Saudis and Trump, and I thought that he was going to escape. I still think that that was his intention. I think that he really does think that he could escape, but the window of escape is getting smaller and smaller. I'm seeing like a circle get further and further away, and it becomes less attainable as Trump becomes less powerful. So let's see what the Saudis have in mind. They're kind of laughing. The Saudis got what they wanted out of Trump. They just had to cover up the Khashoggi murder, and once he's done that, what do they need Trump for? It's sort of like, well, yeah, all right, we'll do this golf tournament at your club there, and we'll make you some money. So we're kind of paying for something. Oh, the Saudis are showing me some documents. Aha. So Trump did give them some documents, but they've got the documents now. So the payback, it wasn't going to be cash. It's just this whole, I think it's at his Doral, golf club. That was the way they were going to pay him back. And they're kind of thinking twice about it. They're like, well, that's the offer, but of course, politics might show up for you, Donald, and you might not want to do it anymore. It's a real conundrum for Donald here because conservatives, they don't like Saudi Arabia. They don't like the culture. They're conservatives. That's what they don't believe in other people's religions. They don't trust them. So Donald Trump is actually kind of alienating some of his base by working with the Saudis, and the Saudis, A, don't care, and B, what's 80 million to them? Here you go, Donald. But they're starting to change their minds because they really don't care. They don't perceive Donald as having power anymore. So the documents that they gave them, that Trump gave them, have something to do with Iran. It has to do with Iran's weaknesses. And Trump really did have it as like an insurance plan, but he sold too early. If he'd had those in hand, maybe he could have negotiated a way into Saudi Arabia, if he needed to leave because of all the prosecutions against him. But he gave it away because he needed the money. He thought Doral was the deal, right? And that was going to help him. And of course, he's assuming he's going to win. The Saudis know he's not going to win. So they're no longer really invested in this. And they no longer have much of an investment in Trump leaving. And they don't want him to do that because that will cause them a lot of other problems. They're trying to clean up their act. They're trying to look better. They're not trying to really be better, but Saudi Arabia is trying to launder its image. right, with golf and things. But let's see. So is Trump still going to try to escape? No, this is getting less and less possible. I just saw the it all go up in smoke. So the planes are still landing and they still have Saudis in them. I think that the sort of escape that I saw really has to do with more with a financial escape. What's Trump going to do? He's looking very cornered and his eyes are really red. It might be that he still tries to leave, but it's not going to be the same method. He blew it with giving the information away too soon. Okay, there's Trump on a speedboat. He's trying to get to an island. It's not impossible that Trump will try to escape, but it won't be the same way. I do see him really cornered, and he's like an animal, and he's ready for the attack, but he hasn't many places to go. Yeah, if Trump leaves, it feels more like by motorboat and more like, going to the Seychelles or some other type place. The problem is nobody wants him. Nobody wants to deal with Donald Trump. Is there anything more we can know about Trump and escaping? I just get there's only so far he can go. He can try to go someplace where they have no extradition. But Trump has too much information. It is not safe for the United States for him to live in another country. We don't know what secrets he could tell others. So the United States has a vested interest to make sure that he stays there. And when I say vested interest, it is a question of national security. Trump may still try to escape, but he will not get far, and he won't get far for very long. Again, I just want to emphasize that this relationship with the Saudis is really bringing Trump down and causing a lot of contradictions among those who support Donald Trump. It is a money thing that is starting to unravel a bit for Donald. It certainly isn't good for him politically. And that came about as a sort of a form of desperation. Donald really needed the money, and that's not looking so good right now. All right, let's take a look at this Rusty Bowers. Again, not a good person, but he was compelled to testify on January 6th, specifically about a bunch of people who were talking about fake electors. They were trying to get the fake electors together. The good thing about this Bowers character, he's not at all even centrist. He is conservative as anybody else is, but he's looking at jail time. So he's ready to tell the truth. This is important just as a message for all Republicans. One guy starts to speak, then everybody else is kind of compelled to speak. Nobody wants to go to jail. And he really did not want to speak. He really is against it. There's something that they had about Bowers that they could make him speak. It's something to do with his own kind of secret involvement. He went maybe a couple steps down the road of dictatorship before he changed his mind. So what did Bowers say? Bowers implicated certain people. He implicated, who did he implicate? A bunch of Bannon, the other crazy guy who he let off the hook, Bannon. It's also Giuliani, Roger Stone. That's the crazy guy I was thinking of. There are other people who were involved. They knew what happened and they made phone calls. And there's a significant number of them, and all of them can also be compelled to testify. because there's information against them. There's a lot of frightened people who supported this program, and they will, among them, not just men, but there are also women who have gone pretty far down the road of dictatorship, and they're starting to come forward just to save themselves. I see one woman, a very tearful woman. I don't know who she is, but I get the feeling, from Georgia. There are others too who are, they know that their careers are going to be over if they do this, but they have no choice. It's either that or significant legal action against them. This is extremely bad for Trump because it is the people, it's like January 6th committee, all the people are Republicans testifying against him, and they will do that in court because that's the deal they made. So if you're a jury and you're listening to Trump's own people testify against him, what are you going to do? Let's just see if this Bowers character has anything particular to. It was all on the telephones. So there were these situations where they didn't necessarily overtly meet. They did it on the phone, and they tried to sort of do it sneakily, but there's people have evidence that they made those calls. Trump tried to keep it off the net. He tried to keep it out of paperwork, but these calls were either recorded or people know about them and have testified about them, so there's no doubt about them. At the very least, the people like Bowers, they don't know if there are recordings or not, so they have to tell the truth. It's very much, just desserts. The chickens are coming home to roost, not just for Trump, but for all of those people that enabled him. The truth is going to come out, and in 5 to 10 years, we're going to know all the details about what Trump did and the insurrection and the connection between the two. And that's what's important right now, is that it becomes very clear that Trump was running this election fraud. All right, so the last thing is DeSantis. Y'all might notice that a while ago I said DeSantis is over. It's like he's this guy, he's the shipwrecked guy on an island. He's not going to be powerful in the future. And I see him again this way, as like his clothing's ripped. It looks like he's just completely in ruins. I'm actually seeing a sort of government building with its white pillars, and it's starting to like vines are growing over it. It's like ending in a way that it's almost like the state of Florida is losing power. It's not functioning well. It's like sort of going back into the jungle. That's what's happening to this building. It's just getting more and more covered with these, vines. It's really, in a way, kind of an image of, Mother Earth. She plays she plays the long game. Mother Earth, that's last, and here it is. It's getting like, floor is getting really moldy. It's getting really dirty. It has all these plumes from all the food plantations around it, so the water's like poisonous. It's really losing its grip. And being that the sort of heyday of Florida is sort of disappearing, people are going to blame DeSantis. I just get this feeling he went too far. He could have done some subtle, anti-woke stuff. He could have done some subtle, some more subtle moves, but he kept trying to put himself out there in the limelight. And now everybody registers that it's DeSantis who did this. So if there's problems in Florida, there's no one to blame but DeSantis. He can't blame the weather. It is he who has, chased the workers out of the state. It is he who's, ruined the education system. So the kids aren't learning there. You're a parent there. Do you want to be in Florida? People will leave Florida because it will no longer be an economically viable place to live. And the good news is he really could have been the Republican nominee, but he is symbolic of that tide changing, that extreme right-wing attack on our civil liberties. It's no longer going to be perceived as a really useful method. These guys, they really sank. They really went to the lowest common denominator and went for power in that way. And there's a lesson in there for all of us that it really will work out in the long run, so that those of us who are moving more towards the light, those of us who are being patient and working through our democracy in a democratic way, we will really be vindicated. It is a question of maintaining our own integrity and trying to not stress out during this period of time, because it is difficult to watch. And universe really wants to just send y'all empathy for doing this work. It is really hard out there, and if you're feeling really stressed out right now, you're not alone. Lots of people are speaking to me about this. So spend some time taking care of yourself and understand it will all work out. We just have to be self-managing and patient. Thanks so much for watching.